Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody.
I'm Shannon.
I'm Alyssa.
And we're your hosts for today.
I'll be the one talking the most.
I'll be the one sitting here reacting sometimes. We'll find out.
Yeah, let's just jump right into it. Okay, this one I'm like 90% sure it was in 2017. I looked it up, but then I saw one other thing that said it was made in 2016. But I'm pretty sure it's 2017.
Okay.
So
general time frame.
Yeah.
Great.
In the last 4 or 5 years. So we're going to be talking about House of the Witch. No, we're not. That's why I'm wrong. That's why. Okay, let's
just keep going. No, let's just keep going. This is the joy. This is the good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, really, what are we recording if not this?
It's true.
So what are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to be talking about actually 2017's Truth or Dare, which you can find on Netflix. Cool. So I was, the first time I watched this, I thought, this is so stupid. This is like the dumbest movie.
Perfect.
And the second time I watched it, I thought, it's actually not so bad. It's not so bad. So there's definitely a few things that, sucked about it, but I mean, that's why it's a B movie. So, okay. So the synopsis of this one is, on Halloween, 8 friends rent a haunted house to play a game said to have claimed lives years ago and soon find history repeating itself.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's one of the ones where, like, I normally am not the type to like the whole flashback things, but this one kind of sets up how the movie is kind of gonna go. Okay. So I'm okay with certain flashback scenes and not some other flashback scenes. I guess I'm just biased depending on the movie. I guess it's how well it's been done, right?
Yeah.
So it starts off with 1983, and you see a kid standing, kid standing on a roof, right? Clinging to it. And the wind's blowing outside and stuff, and he's, obviously, very distressed that he's up on top of this ridiculously tall roof.
Sure.
Of a really gorgeous old house, actually. It's a peak haunted house.
Are we going to have to start, putting in house ratings now? Because this is probably the third time we've talked about houses.
Seriously, though. And it was so funny to me because, again, it's another house in a neighborhood that...
None of the other houses are creepy?
Yeah, and it's just there's all these... There's neighbors. There's people that live in these other houses. There's people there, Anyway, the kid is up on top of the roof, and is really upset. And all of a sudden another girl comes running out onto the balcony and is yelling up for him. I think his name was Sam. And he's yelling for Donna, which is the girl, right? And she's covered in blood, covered in blood. And she's yelling up to him and he's like, I can't do it. And she's like, you have to do it right now. And he's like, no, I'm going to fall. And she's like, you're not going to fall. Just stand up and just focus on the grass and jump. And I'm like, what? What is he doing?
How is he up?
Pretty up there.
Pretty up
there. If he weren't to immediately die, his legs would never be the same because they would be shattered and up through his pelvis like SpongeBob.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way.
Okay.
And so he's trying to stand up, but he slips and he falls and just falls to his death, hits the ground, blah, right? Splatters. Okay. And she's clearly, she's upset and wanders back inside. And then she hears her name whispered off to the side really quick and looks over, and there is a mirror that says, pour the acid over your head. And then she looks down and there's a bucket scooting towards her, right? Just scooting. Okay. And so and then runs downstairs with the bucket, right? She grabs the bucket and she goes downstairs into the kitchen where she yanks open the fridge and she finds a box of baking soda. And she mixes that with a bunch of water and she starts lathering this, heaping the stuff up onto her face. And then she dumps the acid over her head and screams. And that's how that scene ends. And so...
I mean, at least she was trying to be smart about it.
Yes, exactly. Right?
What a queen.
I know. The first time I watched it, for some reason, I didn't see that she grabbed it out of the fridge. And I thought she had just found, instant cement under, a sink. So I clearly wasn't paying close enough attention to that. I've been telling all my friends she poured cement over her head.
On my head, the acid won't get to me.
Yep. I was like...
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I've been telling other people, oh, yeah, she poured cement over her head to stop acid. And I was wrong. I was dumb. Okay.
You learned. It's okay.
I did. I watched it again. So then it goes to present day, right? Yeah. And you see a bunch of cars driving along a freeway. And one of the cars has 3 people in it. It's got Tyler and Alex and Natty. And Tyler and Alex are dating.
Okay.
Yep. These, Tyler's the only guy in the car. Tyler and Alex are dating. Alex and Maddie are very best friends. They're the bestest of best friends,
For now.
And they're just kind of gushing about how this is, like it's a yearly thing. They do this every year. They go for Halloween. They go and find a spooky place to do a spooky thing, right? It's just a thing that they've been doing since they were in high school. Mm-hmm. And then it flashes to the other car where Luke and some girl, I think her name is Jess. I call her Vegan the whole time because I cannot remember her name for the life of me. I think it's Jess.
Okay.
But she's his new girlfriend, and she has yet to, meet any of his friends, right? And Luke is the sport ball boy. I don't know what he plays. I think they said lacrosse, but I can't really be sure.
Of course, it would be lacrosse.
But it could be football. I don't entirely. I feel like it was lacrosse. Anyway.
It's lacrosse.
Yes. And so they're in the other car, and she's just like, I don't know. I don't know if this is, what I should be doing and stuff. He's like, no, these are my friends. And she's like, yeah, but is this the time I should be meeting them? I just think that's a little weird. And he's like, no, it's going to be great. They're going to love you. And she's like, I just don't want them to hate me. And he's like, they're all going to love you. She's like, okay. So they all pull up to the house. And inside is not inside, but standing on the porch is Carter. And Carter is the friend that films everything. And he's the one that rented the house and told everyone to come to this house because he's the one that did all the research and hullabaloo. And so everybody else is getting out of the cars. And there's a large group for these friends and stuff, right? Which you then get to meet Addie and Holt, which are their other friends, which Holt was my favorite little baby cakes of this entire movie. And I was like, I'm rooting for Holt the entire time.
It's also the only, original name I've ever,
yep.
Okay.
Addie, her name's Addison, but they call her Addie for short, so.
Yeah, these are just the top 20 baby names of 2017.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's just what they named them. And so they're all kind of talking, getting to know each other and stuff, and introducing themselves to Luke's new girlfriend. And they're like, oh wait, you're the vegan, right? She's like, yeah, I'm the vegan. And they kind of chuckle for a second. And they're like, don't worry, we brought some food for you too. And she's like, oh, well, thanks. They actually, thought about her, right? So we learn very quickly that Tyler is going to be a doctor, and that Luke is, going into sports ball, and Carter is wanting to film their entire time here at the house because he's hoping he'll catch some ghosts and make it go viral, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so he told everybody that it was his grandma's house at first, and they thought, this is a really weird, grandma's house you have. And then he goes, okay, it's not actually my grandma's house. I found it on a website, something. I didn't write it down. Anyway, it's not important. So he finds it on a website to rent it. And so that's why they were there, because they were going to play Truth or Dare and record it, right? Okay. And he said that the reason why they're going to play Truth or Dare is because the kids that all died in the house back in 83, however many years ago from present, I guess 2017. Anyway, had played Truth or Dare, and that's what the one survivor had told the police, was that they were playing Truth or Dare.
That sounds like the worst idea.
I know, right? So
stupid kids.
But I mean, they were just kids, and I'm pretty sure it had to be one of their houses, because it was a fully stocked house. There was bedding, and there was food in the fridge and things. So somebody had to be living there, and these were teenagers. Well, they weren't college kids.
Maybe if he found it on a website, someone owned it and was taking care of it and rented it out.
He did, but not the original kids back in 83. It had to be one of their houses. I don't know whose house, but it had to be one of their houses, right?
Gotcha.
And so they're all like, oh, okay, well, we'll play and stuff. But the whole time, freaking Vegan keeps asking Luke, she's like, do we really want to stay here? Do we want to just stay in a hotel? And I was like, this is why his friends won't like you if you keep doing this.
But also, yes.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
And go to a hotel.
Yeah.
Don't die.
Yeah. But she just kept saying it over and over again, in front of all of his friends, and was like, we should just go stay at a hotel. This is so dumb. Let's just go stay at a hotel. And he's like, no, these are my friends. We're hanging out, Anyway, so they start exploring the house for a good few seconds, and Addie had shown up in a Halloween costume, but nobody else did. And she was like, it's Halloween,
What the hell, bitches?
Yeah. And so she goes upstairs and changes. As you see her upstairs, you see her taking a pill from, medicine bottle, and you're like, ooh, is this something? And it's not that big of a deal, but you thought it was going to be that big of a deal. Anyway, so then they're all back downstairs, and the group's all hanging out. They're all, sitting down and decide to play the game. And Carter is, obviously, he's telling them the rules and stuff, and the girls go, okay, we'll play, but nothing sexual. And the guys are like, oh, this is so dumb now. Oh, being funny and stuff, right?
Sure.
And the girls one of the girls goes, #keep it clean, boys. And I instantly was like, 60-year-old men wrote this.
I have goosebumps. Bad goosebumps.
Bad goosebumps. I'm like, yeah, they...
Ugh. Ew.
Grown men wrote this.
Keep it clean?
Boys.
Boys?
Boys, yeah.
Ew.
Yep. Yeah. So you're like, okay, gross. And so he passes around some cards and he says, everybody write a truth and write a dare on it, right? And then we'll put it in the pile, mix it up, and then whatever you pull out is what you have to do. Which I've never played truth or dare that way.
No.
But I thought it has to work in the context of the movie. So, yeah. So that's what they do, is they write everything down. And they're all like, okay, who's going to go first? Nobody wants to go first. So Alex, the main character, gets up and she pulls out a card. And it says, make out with Maddie. And they were like, guys, we said nothing sexual. But all the guys were like, oh, you have to do it. You have to do it. Yeah. So she goes over and kisses her best friend, which is like really weirdly awkward how they filmed it. Like you're just basically staring at Alex's butt the whole time. Like, and
does she like lean over?
Yeah, she leans over her and like,
okay.
It's dumb. Yeah. And so, but then they show them kissing and then laughing and they're obviously like, you know, good-hearted about it, you know. So they go sit down, and they're all kind of, haha, okay. And so Maddie goes, okay, I guess I'll go next. And she gets up, and she picks up a card, and she reads it, and she instantly gets pissed off and, like, folds it, and she's like, I'm not playing. And they're like, hey, what is it? Like, you know, you have to tell us and stuff. And she's like, no, I'm not playing anymore. This is bullshit. I'm not playing. And so Luke grabs the card from her,
of course,
and, you know, picks it up and reads it. And it says, did you sleep with Tyler?
Oh.
And they're all like, oh, guys, this isn't okay, you know, and Alex is kind of like,
but wait,
you know, but like my thought process is, if you're assuming that one of your friends wrote it, why would you automatically think that she would pick it up?
Yeah.
You know,
like,
you have no control of that, because she literally just, like, picked it random, right?
Yeah.
And so Alex, though, is like, okay, but did you? Like, you know? And so Maddie goes, no, I didn't sleep with Tyler. And they all get a text message. All at the same time. So they're all like, oh, what is this? You know, pull out their phones, and it says liar.
Okay.
And you're like,
the fuck?
What? Yeah. And so Alex is like, at Maddie, and she is like, I made a mistake. And Alex is like, what the fuck did you just say? No. And Tyler's like, shut your damn mouth, kind of a look, right? And she's like, we were drunk. It was when you went home for the weekend, and we just got way too wasted, and it meant nothing. It was an accident. And Alex obviously is pissed and gets up and leaves. And Tyler is like, what the fuck, guys? Like, who put that in there? And he's like, you're all dead. And he leaves, and Maddie goes after him so they can go find Alex and stuff. And Holt is like, what the fuck? You know? And they're all like,
just happened?
I didn't know. And so they have no idea who wrote it, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh my gosh, you know? So they all start, you know, like Tyler goes to try to talk to Alex, and she's like, I don't want to hear it. I'm going to go home. This is stupid. So Tyler goes back into to their little sitting room and stuff, and he's like, you're all dead. I hate all of you. Like, and they're like, Tyler, we didn't write that. No one wrote that. And Maddie was like, who did you tell? And he's like, I didn't fucking tell anybody. You know, and so they're like, okay, what the heck? And so he picks up the stack of cards to go through it and, like, I don't know why, but be pissed off. Mm-hmm. But so he's mad, and he flips over a card, and it says, put your hands on the hot stove, written in really spooky handwriting, right?
Of course.
And he's like, what the fuck, guys? Like, this isn't okay. I mean, none of them said what the fuck because it's PG-13, but like,
that's not a dare that you do. Like, that's not.
And so he's like, that's messed up, and everybody's like, that's messed up. Who wrote that? And then they all look at Carter. They're like, fuck you, Carter. And he's like, I didn't do it, you know? And so Tyler, like, upset, goes into the kitchen and pulls a beer out of the fridge and is drinking it and is just like, this is bullshit. I can't believe, like, this happened. Like, my life is basically over now, which, good, it should be. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm blaming Maddie, too, but fuck y'all.
Yeah.
And then he looks over, and the table, like, scoots out of the way. Like, just scoots by itself, and he's like, what the fuck, you know? And then a chair comes flying at him, and he, like, jumps back really quick to get away from it, puts his hand on the hot stove.
Of course.
Right? So he's screaming, trying to, like, peel his hand off of the stove, and they all come running in, like, what the hell's going on? And he manages to get his hand off, and he yells for one of them to go get his med kit out of the car, and she runs off, and Alex is like, what the fuck are you doing?
He's gonna be a doctor.
He's gonna be a doctor, yeah.
Oh, no.
So they're, like, wrapping up his hand and stuff a little bit later, and I forgot to mention, sorry, the clock chimed twice before he went into the kitchen, and then one of the other cards said, do the dare does you, and then all of the cards say that. So I forgot to mention that, excuse me. Yeah, and then all that happens. So it's a little bit later, they're bandaging up his hand, and they're all like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is stupid. I can't believe who did that. Like, this is a total accident. We need to leave, just, everybody needs to go home, right? And then the TV turns on by itself. All spooky and staticky and stuff, right?
Yeah, great.
Like,
lovely.
I mean, I personally hate the sound of static, so if I ever became a demonic ghost or whatever, it would be crisp, clean,
like,
pristine.
Here is my message.
Be like, hello, hi, I'm the ghost who's haunting you now. Fuck you guys, you're gonna die. Like, that would be me as a ghost. I mean, I know static is more scary, but personally, I feel the truth is pretty scary.
Clear communication is pretty scary.
I want them to understand that I'm going to kill them.
Right.
Yes. Slow and painfully, but you're all dead.
Yeah,
so.
you're doomed. So.
Yep. So they're kind of freaking out for a second. And it says 3 rounds, 48 hours, or you die. So they have to play 3 rounds, or they have to survive 3 rounds for 48 hours.
Survive or you die.
Yeah, basically.
Don't die or die.
Don't die, yeah. And then a card from the other room comes fluttering into the room they're all in now, and right in front of the vegan, right? So she picks it up and she reads it, and it says, she starts freaking out, but it says, eat Tyler's burned flesh. Which, she's a vegan, so
but
she doesn't
also,
want to do
like,
that.
fucking gross.
Fucking gross, right? What? So they're all like, no, we're not going to do that, but they instantly start, or the clock chimes 4, and they realize that, oh, that means 4 minutes, right? And Luke angrily starts trying to leave, he's like, this is bullshit, fuck you guys, like, this isn't okay, like, she's vegan, knock this off. And so he goes to leave, and the door slams shut out of his hand, right? Like, he tries to pull it open, and it slams shut. And then they're all freaking out for a second and try to go to a different door because they're all like, what the hell just happened? And as they're trying to escape, Alex grabs a chair, goes to throw it at the window, but gets blasted back. And then boards come flying up out of nowhere and, like, starts boarding up all the windows. And they're all like,
the fuck?
Yeah, so it's not even just, like, the boards are already on the windows. No, it's, like, they watch them fly all over the windows. So they're like, oh, my gosh. And so they look to Vegan, and they're like, okay, do the dare. It does you, like, this isn't messing around now. And so she's freaking out about having to, like, and honestly, it wasn't that much. It really wasn't that much. But, like, still kind of gross.
Yeah.
But so she goes over and she picks up a piece and just, like, puts it in her mouth and, and then sobbing turns to Luke, and he's like, it's okay. It's over. It's over. And she's, like, sobbing like it's the end of the world. Okay. Yeah. And also, I don't know how the dare would do her for that one, not gonna lie.
Yeah, like, the skin is just gonna be like,
right? I have no idea. No idea.
Okay.
So, but as they're standing there, the phone rings, the kitchen phone rings, but it's disconnected. And so, sure. Maddie picks it up and listens to it and then starts sobbing and says, it said all of it. So she has to turn around and, like, pick up more pieces off and eat it. But, like, they can hear the light, or, like, the lights start flickering and the house kind of starts shaking, which means she's running out of time. So she just very quickly, like, shoves it all into her mouth and stuff and is, like, very upset,
What the hell?
Yeah. And so, and I'm like, which, that's my thing, is that, like, it came off very easily because, like, what if there are little tiny bits, like stuck on there?
And he had to peel his hand off.
Yeah, so like,
also, if you think about, like, someone had, like, a writer wrote these out. Mm-hmm. Someone thought about that.
Yep.
That's disgusting.
There's worse ones, but yeah.
Oh, no.
Yep. So then everybody's like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Like, who hasn't gone? Whose turn is it, right? So Holt's like, fine, I'll go, right? So he picks up a card, and it says, grab the wires. And they're like, the wires? What wires? And then a chandelier falls in another room, and these, like, wires start sparking. And he's like, I'm going to die. Like, this isn't okay. And so Tyler immediately turns around. He's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Carter, you're going to grab a blanket. Holt, you're going to grab the wires. And you're not going to want to let go, because once you grab them, it's going to be pretty, and stuff. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I'm trying to help you live. And he's like, okay. And so they all get ready and stuff. And he had like 2 minutes to do it or something. And so he goes over and he's like, okay, you're going to grab the wires. And as soon as he grabs the wire, Carter, you're going to run at him with the blanket and knock him over. And so they do that, and they, beeline tackle him. And it's like, he maybe touched it for like 2-3 seconds, right? And he starts foaming at the mouth, and they're all freaking out. And I'm like, CPR. But he starts breathing after a second and survives, and stuff. And so you're like, oh, okay, that's good. Because I liked Holt. He was the funny one.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the fat one, but he's the one with, like, all the good style and stuff.
The fat one's always the funny one, let's be honest.
It's true. But he was funny. I mean, like, whoever wrote his lines were actually really funny, and how he delivered them was, he's a funny kid. Nice. So, yeah. Then Luke gets a note. It's just like a door swings open and it says, smash your knee. And then a bat falls down the stairs from upstairs. And he's like, no, I can't. He's like, I'm on scholarship, guys. Like, I can't do this.
I play sports
ball. So like,
oh boy.
Yeah. And he's like, I can't do this. And so the girlfriend, Vegan, picks up the bat and she's like, okay, I'm going to hit you. Okay. And stuff. And so she whacks him, but it's like,
yeah,
you know, and she's like, okay, that's it, we're done. And then the lights start flickering and stuff, and which obviously means that wasn't good enough. And so he's like, no, I can't do this. And they're like, Carter, you're gonna die, or like get like something really bad's gonna happen to you. Or not Carter, Luke is gonna. So Carter grabs the baseball bat really quick and clocks him really hard. Yeah, so he's on the ground screaming in pain and stuff, and you know, Vegan's trying to check on him, and they're all like, and he's like, I'm sorry, I had to, I don't want you to die or anything, you know. So
yeah.
Yep. And then as they're standing there, a bunch of like cards start falling from the ceiling, which this is called Truth or Dare. And there was only like two truths.
Yeah, it's like mostly dares.
It was mostly dares. Yeah.
Bullshit.
So, and like through the whole rest of the movie, it's all dares. And I'm like, fuck you, demon. You're not even following your own damn rules, right? So a bunch of these cards fall down and everybody picks them up and starts reading. And they're all like, Addie, are you an addict? And she's like, what? No, I'm not an addict, you know? And then a door slams shut and it says liar across it. And she's like, I am not an addict. And they're all like, Addie, you have to tell the truth, which really frustrates the hell out of me that they have Maddie and then Addie and like.
Yeah. Also, maybe she hadn't accepted it herself. Yeah. Maybe she didn't know.
Yeah. But she was like, guys, I got in a car accident. I was prescribed painkillers. I'm just using the painkillers because I have pain, which she's obviously an addict, you know?
Yeah.
And they're all like, no, Addie, tell the truth and stuff. And Carter's like, you're on drugs? Like, and he clearly seems way more upset about it than everybody else. And you're like, why?
Yeah.
You know? So she's like, no, I'm not playing this game. This is stupid. Like, I'm leaving. And they're like, you can't just leave. Anyway, she happens to go to the front door and yanks it open. And it opens right up for her. And she's like, I'm leaving. And this huge gust of wind comes from the rest of the house, pushes her out the door, and impales her on a pole that was in the ground. So
My
she's dead.
God.
Yep.
What?
She dead. Which I'm like, okay, fucking what's his face? Like, was supposed to just put his hand on the burner, and that's all that happened to him. She died.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's, you know, the hierarchy of,
yeah,
didn't make sense, you know.
Demon did not like her.
Nope, Demon didn't like her. So she dead. And they obviously have to call the police, and they all managed to leave, right? And next it shows them at the hospital. Luke's got his knee all bandaged up. Holt was just...
Wait, they left the house?
Yeah, they managed to leave the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Random.
I know. So they managed to leave the house, and they're at the hospital. Carter's trying to talk to the police about how it wasn't just them being drunk and stuff. He's like, we were drunk, but it wasn't us just being drunk. Like, something was happening in the house. But the cops are obviously going to chalk it up as an accident because, like, obviously they have no proof that the kids were hurting each other.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah. Holt got checked out by a doctor, and they said that he was fine to go. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And they're all upset because Addie's dead. You know, this isn't okay. Blah, 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 right? And they all decide to go back to their dorms and whatnot to...
I thought you were going to say the house first.
No, not the house, no. They all go back to their dorms because they're like, well, we'll just chalk this up as, you know, the worst fucking experience of my life, you know?
Yeah.
So you find out that Maddie and Alex are actually roommates. So they're sleeping in their, like, their own little beds in their dorm room and stuff. And Maddie's trying to, like, apologize to Alex over and over. And Alex like, I don't want to hear it. Fuck y'all.
Go to bed.
Stay open.
Shut up.
Shut up. Yeah. But it's, like, the next day. And I guess Carter had stayed up all night because he was wearing the same outfit. And Carter had stayed up all night watching a lot of videos of Addison, right?
Okay.
And you're like, oh, okay, he misses his friend and stuff. But he's very clearly, like, only focused on her in most of the videos. And you're like, oh, he's in love with her.
Yeah.
Dang it. Yeah. Yeah. And then his camera starts moving. Like, it starts doing its own little thing. And so he looks through the viewfinder and he sees Addison crawl up out of his bed. And is like, how long have you been in love with me? And I'm like, that's a truth. That is a truth that all he had to do was answer. But instead, she writes on the wall, hang yourself for 2 minutes. And a noose falls down through the roof, right?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, no, Demon, that's not how it works. You asked the truth.
Yep.
You asked the truth. Like, fuck you.
All done. Turn over.
All done, yeah. But he doesn't want to do it, you know, so he...
Weird.
Yeah. And he didn't do it in time, so the, so the, you know, the news goes around and, like, yanks him back, but then it starts live streaming it to his friends' phones.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which, I mean, their phone literally just, like, pings, and they're like, oh, what's this? Oh my gosh! And, like, go running off to his place, right?
Yeah.
And so Alex goes and grabs Maddie, and they go rushing out of there, and Tyler and Holt are already at his dorm, and they're trying to bust the door down, and they're all screaming about getting the door open and yada yada, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he dies. That's really sad. It's pretty sad. But he dies. And then on his laptop, because that's where he was watching videos, goes round 2, because that was, Carter was the last one of the round. So,
weird that they let them leave the house before the round was over. But I don't make the rules. I don't know.
Demon does what demon wants and cheats. He's a cheater.
I mean, it's a demon.
It's a demon, but I feel like if you make specific rules for your own for your own self, then whatever.
Nah.
So, okay. So then Alex is like freaking out about all of this, and she goes back to her dorm room and she starts like Googling the house and Googling all the stuff and trying to figure out everything she can about what's going on. And she finds out about the lone survivor and finds her address. And so they all decide to go, well, not they all. Alex, Maddie, Tyler, and Holt decide to go to Donna's house and ask her how she survived, like what happened, Mm-hmm. And they meet her, and she's like covered in scars from the acid and stuff, but she managed to save part of her face, and didn't die. So she reluctantly decides to talk to them, and she brings them in, and she tells them like the history of the Truth or Dare game, right? And they're all like, so we had to be in this house, right? And she goes, no. It just happened that the demon was paying attention at that time, decided to play the game.
So anyone playing Truth or Dare
at any time could have this happen to them.
Cool.
Potentially could possibly be only on Halloween, because that's when they did it the first time. Like, it's, I don't know. But that's why the demon, picked them, because it was back in the same house kind of a thing. And so, but she explains that the demon is feeding on souls, and this is how it just gets its kicks,
It's just a jackass.
It's just a jackass, yeah. And that you have to be smart to beat it, and you have to help each other to share the dares, is what she says. And they're like, share the dares? What do you mean? And she says, well, one time, one of my dares was that I had to make 4 deep cuts. And I knew that if I cut myself 4 times that deeply, I would bleed to death.
Yeah.
So my friends all offered to take one of the cuts for me. So instead of
4 on her,
it was 1 for her. And that's all the card said, was make 4 deep cuts. So it didn't matter.
Be smart about it.
Yeah. So she explains that they need to help each other, that like that's the only way they're all going to survive, is if they're helping each other. Then it flashes over to Luke and Vegan in his dorm room, and he's clearly upset, doesn't even want to talk to her, and she's like, okay, I guess I'll just go take a shower. And he starts angrily flipping through a magazine that then opens up to a page that says rob a bank, or rob a gas station. And he's like, what the fuck? So he gets up really quick, and he's like, we gotta go right now. And he's hobbling because he's, got a busted up knee. Well, his bed sheets start moving, and it forms a 9. And as it's moving out of the way, a gun is sitting on the bed now. So he has to take the gun and go.
Honestly, though, of like all the dares, not the worst one.
Not the worst one. Right? Except he, they get in the car and they like speed off to the gas station and stuff. And he gets out and he goes inside, and he's like, listen, I need you to give me some money. And she's like, no. And he's like, just give me any amount of money. I really don't care. And he pulls the gun out, and he's like, I'm not going to hurt you, I swear. And she's like, oh my gosh. And he's like, $1. Just give me $1. I don't care. That's all I need. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right? And he's like, just give me anything. Like, I don't care. And so she pulls out a shotgun and is pointing it at him. She's like, I will shoot you. And he's like, you don't understand. I just need something. And so he goes to grab a coin jar, like one of the hospital donation things, and goes to grab that and just run out when she shoots him. And so she just fires and kills him.
Like, couldn't you say, I mean, not that it would have turned out better, but like, couldn't you say it's for a dare?
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't have even pulled the gun. Like, my thing too is that, like, how much about rob a gas station are we talking about here? Can I go steal a candy bar and then bolt out? Like, what?
From a gas station versus rob a gas station?
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought of the same thing.
Yeah, I'm like, so that's my thinking, is like, what does the demon mean for some of these things,
Yeah.
So, which I also thought it wasn't fair because it wasn't his turn, but I guess the demon just decides whose turn it's going to be willy-nilly,
Yeah, I feel like I would have started with stealing something, and then if shit started going awry, I'd be like, damn it.
Yeah, and then I literally, all I would have done, not pulled the gun, is I would have grabbed the change jar and ran out, because that is technically robbing the store at that point.
I don't know if that would have counted.
Maybe, I don't know.
Demons be bitches, man.
Demons be bitches, so... Anyway, so he gets shot and dies, and Vegan sees the whole thing happen, so she freaks out, jumps back in his truck, and drives off, right? And she calls Alex while she's driving, and she's, super upset. She's like, Luke's dead, and they're like, Luke's dead, oh my gosh, and they're like, Carter's dead. She's like, Carter's dead? And
Are we surprised at this point, people?
Right? Yeah. So Alex is like, you have to go back to the house. And she's like, I don't want to go back there. She's like, we have to go back to the house. And I'm like, you don't have to go back to the house, but
everything's still happening without you being
exactly.
in the house.
So they go back to the house, and I'm like, it's probably because they didn't want to have more locations to film at. So that's,
true.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure it was a big, expensive, spooky house to get. So keep, make some money out of this spooky, expensive house. So they go inside, and the house just kind of like wakes up. All the lights turn on, and like
hello,
welcome back.
Welcome back to Smart House.
Yep. Tyler immediately goes over and just picks up a paper. Okay, and it says, "Drink the liquid." And he's like, "What?" And they turn around and they see a glass filling up. Okay, and he goes over, picks it up, sniffs it, and goes, "That's poison." And I'm like, "How the fuck do you know that?"
Right? Does it smell like chemicals?
Right?
Or
Like, how do you know it's poison specifically? Like, it's... Anyway, so they're all like, well, what are we supposed to do? And Alex goes, we have to share the dares, okay? So everybody's going to drink a little bit of it, right? But he's like, hang on. And they had left all of their, like, food and stuff that they had brought for their hangout night at the house. So he goes over to the cooler, yanks it open, pulls out a very non-name brand cola, and passes it around to everybody. And he's like, chug this and then drink the poison. And because the acid in the or the
carbonation.
Yeah, the carbonation in the soda is going to protect your stomach lining from the poison, right? And I'm like, is it?
Okay.
Right? But he goes, it's med school 101. And I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. You want to know what med school 101 is?
Yeah.
They're alive. Like,
CPR.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's like, but the other thing is it's going to make you feel full and you're going to feel like you need to throw up, but it's going to help you throw it up, right? And so they all chug their sodas and then they chug the liquid and then they all throw up, right? Which I'm like, that is a little bit smart, But
also, like, of the dares to spread around, like, poison seems like the worst.
Yeah, like, yeah.
We'll all just die. It's fine.
But, I mean, they all had, like this much to drink instead of, like, a whole glass. So, like, it's, But they all throw it up, and they're all grossed out and stuff. And, so Maddie hears, like, a squeaking sound, and so she goes to follow it, and she finds a pair of pliers and a card that says, pull 2 teeth.
I knew it was either going to be teeth or fingernails.
Yeah, it was teeth. Yeah. So, and then these 3 candles light up, which means they've got 3 minutes, And so she's like upset, and Alex says that she'll take the other tooth, and Tyler goes, no, I'll do it. Which, trying to be all heroic now because, yeah. And yeah, so he goes over and he yanks out one of Maddie's teeth for her, which he's like, I'm going to pull an upper molar. Gravity's gonna help. I'm like, not when it's fused to your head.
Yeah, that's not how that works. That's not how the force works.
No. So yeah. So he yanks it out and she's like hurt and everything. And then he goes, okay, my turn. And he looks to Holt and he's like, Holt, I need your help. Like, I need you to do it. And so Holt's like, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, I got this. Okay. I'm not upset with you for taking Becky, what's her name, back in the 3rd grade from the dance and stuff. And he was like, and I'm like, I fucking love Holt. He's so damn funny and stuff. And like, he's obviously, like trying to ease the tension and stuff. But yeah. And so he goes and starts trying to pull, but he can't get it out. And the lights start flickering. So they're running out of time. And so Tyler just grabs the pliers and like manages to yank it out himself. Right. And I'm like, I've had a lot of dental work done the last couple of years. And
it's rough.
It's rough, buddy. Then, so they're all kind of upset and go out into another room. And Alex's turn. And she gets a gun with a single bullet. And it says, basically play Russian roulette kind of a thing. And so Tyler thinks, well, let's just try to spend the bullet, right? So he goes to try to pull the gun and it won't let them pull the lever, okay? And I'm like, but does Russian roulette have to be pointed at your head? Like, does it like, all it said was so many rounds, like 1 bullet kind of a thing. Like, that's it. I didn't have to point it at my head. Like the demon didn't say that. So, but they do that. So Alex takes the gun and she points at her head and she clicks it twice. Like she, clicks it twice and it doesn't go off. And they're all like, good. And then Maddie takes the gun from her and she goes to do it. And at the last second, Tyler grabs the gun from her, puts it to his head and blows his brains out. So he dies and Alex is obviously,
Jesus,
upset about it. So she's like crying over his dead body. And I'm like, but why did you point it at your heads? It never said you had to play Russian roulette. Like, it never said you had to point it at your heads.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they didn't even attempt to point it at something else. Nothing, like no other body part. They just pointed it at their heads. So yeah.
Be smart.
Be smart, guys. So Holt goes upstairs and he's in the bathroom and is like washing his face. He's upset. And on the wall it says, get run over by a car. So he goes rushing downstairs to tell everybody. And he's like, guys, I have something to tell you. And they're like, okay. And he goes, Last year, I was involved in a hit and run, and the guy that I hit is now paralyzed, and I didn't tell anybody because I really thought, like, you know, like, I thought my parents were going to be really upset with me and stuff, and that I was going to go to jail and all this, you know, and they were like, okay, you got a truth, okay, you're good, and he's like, no, it's not a truth, I'm telling you this because I need one of you to run me over with a car, and they're all like, oh, okay, let's go, so they go running outside, right, and, which I'm like, that's really, like, heartbreaking to me because he, like, ran down and told them all really quick, and I'm like, Holt, I love you, which I'm upset with you for hit and running, but, like, yeah, so they decide, all it said is get run over by a car, so they decide to run over his foot, okay? And they go to the crappy truck and try to start it, but it doesn't start with his foot right there. So Holt runs around to the front of the car, opens up the hood, and is trying to, like, fix the engine really quick, which then slams down on his hand, and Vegan's in the truck trying to get out so she can help him, but the truck's locked, the engine starts, and he's, you know, stuck in it, and the truck backs up really far so that he, like, is tumbling down and then goes and runs him over, like, and the whole time Vegan's trying to hit the brakes and is, like, screaming and crying, and she's like, I don't know what to do, like, I can't do anything.
Very traumatizing.
Yeah, and because you effectively feel like it's your fault for doing it, but, like,
yeah, because you couldn't stop it.
Yeah. So I'm upset because Holt died, and so she goes back, or, like, the other two had come running out, and they, you know, obviously saw it happen, and they were like, what happened? And she's like, I couldn't stop it, so they're all crying and hugging and go back inside. And Alex goes, we're being punished for our sins and our fears and stuff. And I was like, why are you being punished for your fears? Like,
maybe they're feeding off of your fears.
Yeah. And so I'm like, meh. But then Vegan goes, well, I haven't done anything wrong and I'm not afraid of anything. I'm like,
except for meat.
Yeah, meat. And she also killed a cockroach earlier in the movie and stuff. And so, yeah, obviously she's afraid of cockroaches. So then she gets her name called and she goes over and picks up a card that says, chain yourself to the pipe. And she's like, what pipe? And then a door swings open that they can see. And so they go downstairs and she goes to start going down the stairs and then the door slams shut. So she's stuck by herself down there. And she pulls out her phone and she's trying to see. And she sees the pole with the chains. But it's like freaking out because there's cockroaches kind of just skittering around on the ground. So she's freaking out about that and can't chain herself to it in time because she turns around and looks and sees that there's this whole wall of cockroaches that just then swarms her. And like she dies from like suffocating on cockroaches. I don't fully know what that was, you know, but yeah, so she dies from that and they're like all upset and you know.
I was gonna like flood the basement.
That's what I thought. Yeah, like if you get... Anyway.
Like Titanic situation going on.
But no, she cockroaches, yep.
Okay.
Yep, so... And then Maddie's phone, or her cell phone rings. And so she answers it and it says, remove 7 living body parts. And so she's like upset. Yeah. And Alex goes running into the kitchen and grabs a few knives and things that she can find and brings it back out. And so the thing to me is that all it said was remove 7 living body parts. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I could understand if the demon was like you can only take one hair kind of a thing. Like it has to be different body parts. But why did they not take the same body parts?
Yeah.
Like, because Addie pulls out an eyelash and Alex yanks out a hair. Okay. And then she like goes to cut off her like skin on her elbow because that's living, right? Yeah. And so she goes to do that.
Ow.
I don't know. Because I guess it like it's loose. Out. It's loose. Yeah. So they cut it off and then the TV like pops on and it says whole parts. And you're like, oh, okay. So obviously like if she was going to remove skin, she'd have to take all of her skin off. Okay. But she cuts off her earlobe and that counts.
That's not a whole damn ear.
That's not a whole, no. I'm like the whole ear would need to go, but.
She cuts off her earlobe?
Which I know. And my other thing is that I'm like, why? I would have taken another tooth.
I mean, would you? Ugh.
But it's living. It's living. They grow.
They don't grow.
Yeah.
They move.
But I feel like they're alive, you know. Obviously, if it causes you pain. So anyway. So they take off an eyelash, a fingernail.
I was going to say, yeah.
They take off a fingernail, a pinky. She cuts off her pinky, and her earlobe, and a pinky toe. And then they're like, well, what else are we supposed to do next? And I was like, why did you not both try to, like, both take out an eyelash, both take out a hair, like, you know, and why would just a pinky count when you could like cut off another finger too? That both are living parts. Yeah. So like I would have cut off a couple of fingers, you know, or a couple of toes or something, you know, but they tried to dump it in the ice chest so that they could like get it attached back later. But they were like, well, what else are we supposed to do now? And so Maddie puts her foot up on the table and is like, just do it, you know. So they cut off her whole damn foot. Yeah.
You're gonna bleed out, you dumbass.
Yeah. So, and all of this is happening, like, really fast, obviously, because they're trying to rush, you know, and stuff. So they, like, cut off her foot. And then next it shows...
with kitchen knives?
No, with a
axe?
Cleaver.
Ooh.
You know.
Okay.
And it takes a good couple of swings.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they... You know, Alex then gets Maddie into the car and is, like, rushing her to the hospital and stuff. And is like, don't worry, we're going to be there soon. We're going to be there soon. You know,
Did
like...
they put on a tourniquet?
Yeah, she did. She took off her belt and, like, turning. Sorry. Anyway, but as she's like trying to find her way to the hospital, she's got like the GPS on her car telling her where to go, and it flashes kill her because it's last round. It's Alex's turn.
Oh gosh.
You know? And Maddie's just like, just do it, Alex. She's like, just do it. I'm so sorry about Tyler. Please just kill me. You know, like, and she's like, no, I'm not gonna kill you. You're my best friend and stuff. And she's like, you can't like get around this one. And I was like, here's my thinking is that if they weren't in the car, could she have, like...
had her die and then resuscitate her?
But then I was like, but is it more of, like, the demons, like, got your soul, you know, like, hanging around trying to, like, wait for them to be dead and then...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, because you don't know. You don't fully know. And so they didn't try it.
If the main goal is to kill them to get their soul, like, he really just is a jackass making all this happen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And he's just, you know, getting his kicks off and stuff. Anyway.
Cool.
So Alex is like, nope, that's not going to happen. And she drives the car into a set of trees. Because she's like, I'm not going to kill you.
But I'm going to kill us.
I'm going to kill us. But then one of them gasps after it goes dark. And you don't know who it is. But I'm pretty sure it was Maddie's voice. So.
That's how it ends?
That's how it ends. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's one that like the whole time I was getting frustrated at. Because I was like, but it doesn't, because specifically it said pour acid over your head. So I poured acid over my head. But that doesn't mean I can't cover it with something, you know. So why... did they not both take an earlobe? Why did they both not take a pinky finger and a pinky toe? Like,
shave my whole head. I don't care.
Exactly. Like,
I mean, that probably wouldn't have counted, but...
Yep. And I'm like,
I can rip out 7 hairs right now.
Yep.
Oh, that's... Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so I just felt like that one part, I'm like, that wasn't being smart, guys. Like, you weren't being smart about that.
I mean, they split it up, but not in a good way.
Yeah. So I'm just...
Can I tell you how glad I am that I've never really played Truth or Dare at like a party except for our one blacklight Truth or Dare party?
That was really fun.
Ooh.
But I never went to parties, so I didn't get to play Truth or Dare.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I personally give this movie a B+.
Okay.
Yeah, the filming was really well done. I felt like the script was fairly well written. I was frustrated at a few things because I'm just like... But and the other thing is I have to take into account is that obviously they're on a time crunch, so they can't think properly when they're, you know, like stressed out. I'm about to die.
Yeah.
But like I just feel like you know, and had Tyler not died before, I feel like, you know, he was the smart one. Yeah. So like
interesting.
Yep. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Some of the dialogue was really corny, but
yeah.
Keep it clean, boys. Yeah. Holt was my favorite part. He's my favorite character. And if you're going to watch it for Holt. So.
Is it like gory?
It's a little gory.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little gory. And it's fairly well done gore. It's not like House of the Witch where it was like, you know, pulling out, you know, the freaking wet hose out of somebody's
hot dog links.
Yeah. Like, but I thought this one was fairly well done. So
yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's flaws. There was some flaws, but
some tropes.
Yeah, some tropes. Obviously, yeah, you had to have the girls kissing in the movie or it's not a horny teenage horror film. Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it for the most part. I the first time I watched it, I thought this was so stupid. And the second time I was like, I'm picking up on a couple more things that I like didn't pick up the first time. Because the first time I watched it, I didn't read that it was the 7 living body parts. And I was like, there's a dead boyfriend.
There's many dead people.
There's lots of dead people
around, so
in the house, you know. Also, I wonder if the cockroach would count as like a living thing, you know, because that would have been like the leg off.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like food that might have been in the fridge, but obviously like food is not living.
Yeah.
So that would not work, but
yeah. And you know that like saved that one towards the last because there was just the two of them left. Had there been more people, I'm pretty sure they would have come up with...
It would have been way easy.
Way easy, yeah. But...
Cool.
I want to know. I want to, like, contact the writers and be like, where did it say they both couldn't chop off an ear and they both couldn't cut off a pinky? And, like,
did they just assume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if a pinky counts and a toe counts, why did a fingernail count but not a toenail?
A toenail didn't count?
Well, they didn't try.
Oh.
I would have counted a toenail.
That's true.
So, I would have yanked off a toenail. I'd have freaking cut off my lip before I did it. Like, you know?
That seems pretty painful.
Yep.
I mean, it all seems pretty painful.
Yeah.
Next time, dare me to rob a gas station.
Okay.
And
we'll see how well you do.
That's my bar, I think, yeah. I don't want to chop off